10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Well, good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sam here, live on United People's TV. It's Wednesday, the 21st of September. I've really got to figure out how to do that without looking at even if I look at the date, I have to look before we go live. But look, how are we all doing? I know there's no football. I know it's boring, X, Y, Z. Man United still don't play for, what is it? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 11 days. It's the longest break ever. Obviously, 2 games cancelled because of the Queen's funeral and the Queen's death. And we've got the international break sandwiched. It's just a lot of time without football. But we're here to talk about Jude Bellingham this morning, right? We're here to talk about a 150 million euro price tag. 150 million. We spoke about Jude Bellingham last week, didn't we? I did a video just before, I think the day before his goal against City. I did a video on Jude Bellingham saying, look, I think we've got to have a conversation about him. But today we're going to have a real conversation after an article from Laurie Whitwell and James Pearce, Manchester United and Liverpool's main correspondents on The Athletic, and 150 million price tag. We'll speak about that. We'll speak about Brandon Williams' interview yesterday that came out with his comments on Harry Maguire. I don't personally think it warrants a separate video, but it certainly warrants a conversation that we'll be having here this morning in the comments. We'll speak about Facundo Pellistri. We'll speak about Tyrell Malacia. And look, I'll answer as many of your questions as possible. Who's down here in the comments? Ines, good morning to you. Look, you were gifted a membership. Man, honestly, man, it's been sensational. Gungshi yesterday, Warren yesterday. I gave away 5 as well. I say it every single day. It's the biggest testament to the quality of this community that everyone wants to invite other people in. Who's down here? Michael, I can see you there. Ruben, Sar, Malps, Jordan, Joss, I can see you there this morning. Stu Backer, how you doing? You have had a week away. Well, now you're back. Klein, Fizz, good morning to both of you. Al, Jack, Charlie, and Seth. Loads of you this morning. Well, actually, not that many of you overall this morning. It's amazing how you see it in how many people tune in how many people watch the videos. Just the sheer drop-off that happens when the international break comes around. Everybody's like, I can't be asked to talk about football. I can't be asked to watch videos or get involved in the live streams about football. It is what it is, but you're all here, so let's get the show on the road. And it probably gives you more of an opportunity to get your questions answered. I get accused every day, Sam, you never read the comments out. I do try and read as many as I possibly could, but if you see how many, if you were watching my screen, you probably understand why it is quite difficult to get everybody's comments answered. But let's speak about it, right? I did this video last week on Jude Bellingham. Now, Jude Bellingham is a player that, let's be honest, Manchester United tried our hardest to sign before he went to Borussia Dortmund. We schmoozed him. We brought him to Carrington. We brought him in. Fergie was there. We tried everything. And according to this article from The Athletic, we watched him 46 times since he was the age of 12. And every single time we're like, we should sign him immediately. We should sign him immediately. Well, we probably should have signed him immediately because now we're seeing insane prices on him. Sam, nice to see you there rejoining as a member. And Rothen, you're saying, look, it's an amazing community. Mate, honestly, I can't big up the community anymore. Make sure you check out the videos going out today. I keep saying it, but it's the first community event. Going to be doing a poker game tomorrow night. If you're old enough and you're in the UK and you want to get involved, I'd love to have you as part of that. But it's going to be the first community type event, but it definitely won't be the last. The community is growing to such a scale that I want to start doing community events. If you've got any good ideas, the things that we think we should do online, things that we should do offline. Again, my DMs are always open on Twitter and on Instagram. Tina, you're joining as well. I love it. I love to see the women getting involved too. And that's the sign of a good, inclusive community, right? But look, let's speak about this and Jude Bellingham. I did this video last week, and we had it was quite a healthy discussion in the comments. And I was like, look, if we're looking at dream. If we're ignoring the price tags and we're just looking at the players, I'm going to say, you know what, Jude Bellingham's got to be number 1 on that list. I think so. At the age of 19, with the years he's going to have ahead of himself, he's not a generational talent person. I think that word generational talent is used a little bit too much because just kids are they're so much better than they were back in the day. It must be the improvement in training facilities. It must be the improvement in access to those facilities at a younger age. But by the time players are 19 now, like Jude Bellingham, he plays like a 25-year-old who's been around the block. It's insane, the quality. Like Erling Haaland is another example of that. Jadon Sancho, another example of that. All three of those players used the Bundesliga as their springboard, used Borussia Dortmund as their springboard. Now, it's quite a lot of you saying in the comments, say, Sam, we're idiots for not going after him. How can we possibly look at spending 150 million on him now? This is just bad scouting. We tried everything, but he made, let's be honest, the right decision for his career by going to Dortmund. And it's just the Premier League. If Erling Haaland had come to United instead of going to Dortmund, if Jadon Sancho had moved to Arsenal instead of moving to Dortmund, and if Jude Bellingham had moved to United instead of moving to Dortmund, all three of them would be different. They wouldn't be as good and as developed as they are now. The Premier League is the pinnacle, right? But the Premier League doesn't. It's such an intensely difficult league straight away that it's very hard for youngsters to break through and establish themselves in that environment. It's certainly a little bit easier to do it in the Bundesliga. I'm not saying that to take away from them. I'm just saying that it's a reality. Quite a few of you in the comments saying, look at his dad's face. His dad's face absolutely cracks me up every time I see that. He's like, come on. Dylan, let me know where you're watching from, buddy. Nice to have you on board. Kieran, you're saying you think he's going to go to City. I don't really know where he's going to be going, man. But at that price, let's be honest, if it is that price, there is going to be very, very few teams that are able to afford him. Stu Backer, man, you're coming in there with a strong 10. Round of applause to Stu, man. Look, I think Amy, you might have got one. Anybody down there who gets one, you let me know, and I'll try and give you a shout out as well. But look, Stu saying, what can I say? You're welcome. You are welcome. Everyone's welcome, man. Welcome aboard to United People's TV. Now, let's run through this article together. As I said, it's coming from James Pearce and Laurie Whitwell and The Athletic. What I try and do here on United People TV is I try and keep the sources that we base videos on and base conversations on, I suppose, your higher tier. I don't really work on a sort of reliability scale. You know how like Twitter accumulator accounts will have like their own little like full gold moon for most reliable and grey moon for non-reliable, X, Y, Z. I just know who I would trust. And The Athletic have built themselves a strong credibility in the few years that they've entered into the UK journalism market, if you want to call it that. So I trust The Athletic and I trust the opinions of them. And James Pearce and Laurie Whitwell are the two chiefs, I believe, of Liverpool and Manchester United as far as their coverage goes. He said, and they're both saying this, like, sort of, this is it. It's rather than them saying this, they're both involved in this quite a big piece, this on Jude Bellingham and on his future. Saying Jude Bellingham, Liverpool, Manchester United, and the battle to sign him. And this is the part that I'm interested in. We'll run through this and I'll discuss it with you in the comments. Senior sources at Dortmund have dismissed suggestions they are already resigned to losing Bellingham next summer. They insist there has been no contact with Liverpool, despite some reports suggesting talks between the clubs have already taken place. Dortmund, who bought him from Birmingham for an initial fee of 25 mil, rising to 30 in July 2020, intend to offer him an improved termed contract in the hope that he will sign an extension and continue his development in Germany. However, if Bellingham does push for a move, Dortmund are adamant that he is valued at around 150 million euros. Well, that's got to get highlighted. Let's go yellow. Why not? 150 million euros. That would make him the most expensive British footballer in history. And unlike Haaland's transfer to City, there's no release clause involved. His family never gave an indication they wanted one, confident in Bellingham's ability to the point that interested teams would pay what was required when the time came for them. Now, that might be considered slightly, I wouldn't say naive, but it's a little bit naive. So I suppose I am saying naive. The reason Haaland and his representation forced that release clause into the contract was because he didn't want to get held at that point. Now, Bellingham may well find himself in a situation like Jadon Sancho was that year that United tried to sign him and they put 130 million euro price tag on him. It may be a case that Bellingham gets priced out of the move. You'll know full well that's the exact price, I believe, that West Ham put on Declan Rice this summer. And it wasn't really an indication of how much they truly felt he was worth. That was a case of, look, if you're going to try and get this player away from us that we don't want to sell now, you're going to have to pay stupid money. You let me know in the comments. And in fact, no, we've already had this discussion about how much we think Bellingham is worth. And we didn't go for 150 million euros. That's for sure. So I think if you were to sit there, if I was to do a video, right, and I would say, look, I've got 150 million euros. What am I spending it on? Say, for example, we're playing Football Manager here. We're at United in phase 2. I've got 150 million euros. Am I likely to go and spend that 150 million euros on Jude Bellingham? Or am I more likely to go after, I'm not saying this, I don't think it will happen, by the way, but hypothetically, go after Frankie de Jong again, 75 million, leaving another 75 million for probably 2 more top-level signings. I think it's a bit of a rhetorical question, isn't it? The idea there that they're putting 150 million on him, that's just like, there's not much point in having a conversation about it anymore. Because there's no way that United afford that. I mean, we probably could afford that, but it wouldn't be what we need to do. In my opinion, I think where we need to go next summer with our signings and how smart we need to be in the market, I think Bellingham's just off the cards at that much. Abdul, you're saying that it's too much. Chabot, you're saying 70 million. Look, I don't think he's worth 70 million. I think that's really lowball. Really, really lowball. Teresa, let me know where you're watching from. I think massively lowballing. If you're going to be putting a 75 to 80 million price tag on Frankie de Jong, then Jude Bellingham, who is 19, right? Remember that. He's 19. The dude's got like 10 years plus left. That's it. I can't believe he's that good at that age. It really is crazy. Inez, you're saying, look, Jude Bellingham, I'd say roughly in the region of 90 million euros. And you're saying, look, hope he's Sir Mark Ratcliffe's marquee signing for 24-25. Stephen, you're saying, look, minimum in today's inflated market is 110 million pounds. Jules, you're saying, look, he's not worth it. He's very good, but not top tier. Again, I think you're doing him a disservice there. I think Jude Bellingham. Okay, name me 10 better central midfield. I actually don't, because the comments will get absolutely crazy. He's in that category already, and he's in that category at the age of 19. Jonathan, you're saying Osimhen, Van der Sar, and the midfielder. It's Anthony. I'm not sure it will be a bidding war here, right? Say he does go for 150 million. Okay, literally, say he goes for 150 million. Which clubs do you think would be prepared to pay that sort of money, right? Because for 150 million, PSG are going to be able to afford that. That's a given. City will be able to, and City have just proven this summer. This is the summer that really clinched it for us in terms of hating City. So well run. Like, they made like 100 to 150 million in sales. They could easily afford him. So PSG and City, they will be able to afford him. Jacob, you're down there saying Bayern Munich. Ernest, you're saying Liverpool. And let's be completely honest, that's not what Liverpool have done. They haven't done it. They didn't do it this summer. They obviously, well, you could argue about Darwin Núñez, and well, I'm not sure you saw that video yesterday of him in training. Jonathan, you're saying, look, nobody's paying 150 million. As I said, this idea of 150 million may well be just Dortmund being West Ham. Dortmund saying, look, we know that Jude Bellingham's going to be leaving our club, but we'll let him leave our club when we want him to leave. Stephen, you're saying, look, isn't he a Real Madrid fan? He's like, guys, look at Real Madrid now. They've signed Tchouaméni and they've got Camavinga. They're good. I mean, you could probably add Bellingham into that, but they're It is disgusting. Disgusting how good that Real Madrid team. And Real Madrid is the time when they're building a new stadium. Are they up or are they down? What's going on? Oh, fuck it. We'll just go and win the Champions League, win the double, and have like the most ridiculous replacements for Kroos and Modric in Tchouaméni and Camavinga. It's like such a well-run football club. Ish. John, you're saying Barcelona. I mean, Barcelona are so... I don't think that Jude Bellingham leaves Dortmund for 150 million this summer. I think if the Athletic are correct, and the fact here, let's read this one more time. If they are correct and the fact that Dortmund value him at 150 million, then I think they price him out of that move. I think that he stays at Dortmund, and well, it depends whether or not they match his ambition, and then maybe they go and sign players in the market, X, Y, Z. But Jude Bellingham will leave Borussia Dortmund, just like Jadon Sancho did, just like Robert Lewandowski did on a free, just like Erling Haaland did. It's the business model of Borussia Dortmund. And I'll be honest, it's probably the reason why they've just had to stare at the arse of Bayern Munich, who have won 7 years, just like that, looking up at them. 7 years in a row they've won the Bundesliga? It's because Dortmund's business model is great, brings stability, but they constantly get their best players poached and taken away from them. Jonathan, you're saying, look, it's just clever on Dortmund's part, meaning they'll take 100. I don't know how much. Honestly, I don't know what the true value of a football player is anymore. I honestly have no idea, because I don't think there is like in the same way that, well, it's probably not the same way in any way, shape, or form. In the same way, there's not a right way to sort of raise a child, so everybody can do it differently. It seems like everybody just puts their own price tags on anybody, and it doesn't really matter what anyone else is doing. You just decide what your player is worth and just slap it on, and you basically just kind of aiming for the moon and going, go on in. Is it aiming for the stars, hit the moon? One of those. That's a Samism for you. Gungshi saying, look, can't give memberships today. Oh, you're at hospital. Well, buddy, I hope you're doing all right, and I hope it's only a nice little checkup. May the force of Barry be with you, everyone. Gungshi joining in every single day, no matter where he is. The absolute legend that is Gungshi. So, but I hope it's just a little checkup, my friend. Is it 10 Bundesligas in a row? My word. That is a lot of Bundesligas. Jonathan, you're saying, look, centre forward will be the huge transfer next summer with United, Madrid, and Bayern. Look, I think we all know who's going to be one of the biggest. That's Christopher Nkunku. Osimhen could be thrown into that category. I'm going to do a video that's coming out during this international break. I've said it quite a few times now here on United People's TV, and I stand by it. This summer coming up is where United have to, man, we've got to be smart in the market. We've really got to be smart. I'm going to speak about the lad later on in the show, but this, for me, this is the transfer that needs to be held up as an example. I think we made some fantastic signings this summer, but in terms of fantastic business, Christian Eriksen, obviously on a free, is the best one, but that's a bit of an anomaly. You're not really you can't build a sustainable football club on hoping that you get someone on a free transfer. In terms of the best business Manchester United did this summer, that's your man there. 17 million euros, I think we paid for him. And he's taken to United like a duck to water because he's really entrenched in the system of Erik ten Hag, and he's done it very well. It's to a certain degree, yes, this is correct. But Manchester United and the Premier League as a whole, we can't I don't think Jude Bellingham would have developed into the player that he is now had he spent that time in the Premier League instead. I think the Bundesliga was a platform that allowed him to flourish and allowed him to shine. But if we're going to be smart, if we're really going to be sort of catching up to City, and it's a long old road we got ahead of ourselves, it really is, because they just keep year on year building on success, and when that's how you sustain success. As soon as you reach the top, you put your feet up and you start smoking a cigar, there's someone below you who's going to be chasing you. And that's why Liverpool weren't able to sustain anything more than one league title that they won in front of no fans in an empty Anfield. But that's what City have managed to be able to do, sustain success. And it's, yeah, I'm envious of what they're doing, especially how they managed to do it this summer. But Malacia, for me, has to be held up as the example signing, saying, look, this is what happens if we can get good scouts in who can identify players a step early. That's the signings that United need to make. And that's the idea here. It's quite the opposite of Borussia Dortmund and Jude Bellingham. We tried with Jude Bellingham. I'm not going to say we failed in that sense, because we did try. He made the right decision. But we need to be making more Tyrell Malacia signings compared to Jude Bellingham signings, which is a real shame, because I would absolutely love Jude Bellingham. I just don't particularly think that we're going to be able to afford them. It's just not going to happen. Shamel, you're saying, look, Sesko and Gakpo. Look, Sesko is going to Leipzig next summer. That's already done. I don't think we've necessarily missed a boat on that. We were, again, first to the Sesko party. We should have probably put in a bid earlier than we did instead of dallying on that. But ultimately, which is what you would expect them to do, RB Salzburg are sending him to RB Leipzig. And he's keeping him in the Red Bull family. And that's not really too much of a surprise. Let me go down here and read a few more of your comments. Jordan, you're saying, look, striker, midfielder, right back in January. Jordan, it's an easy question. That's striker. Striker. I think if United are going to go out and sign somebody in the January transfer window, we're going to be looking somewhere in the region of 15 to 30 million euros or pounds, whatever it is. No more than 30 million. Who could that be? I'm going to have a video out on 5 potential options, because I think this is the sort of scouting that United need to be doing themselves. So we're going to do it here on United People's TV. Sam, would you rather United go for Bellingham or for Rice? Bellingham. Yeah, man. And that's no disrespect to Rice, but I just think Bellingham's on a different. I think Bellingham's ceiling is far higher than Rice's ceiling, and I like Declan Rice. Declan Rice really, really grew on me last year. After the Euros with England, I thought that going into the Euros that Declan Rice was like massively overhyped. Massive. And then I watched the Euros, I was like, oh, he's decent. And then the year after in the Premier League, he's sort of got better and better. And I was like, all right, fair play. He's actually really, really improved me. I think, but by comparison, Bellingham's going to be, yeah, just a different tier. Different tier to what Declan Rice is. And I think any England fan would probably say the same. But look, 150 million euros. As I said, I just wanted to run through that and have a discussion about Bellingham in the comments view this morning. I think we all agree down here, no one's paying 150 mil. Or maybe someone is. Maybe someone crazily is going to pay 150 mil. I mean, Tchouaméni was 100 million. Was it 90 million? 90 to 100 million. That's it. Let me have a look. I think it was a 100 million package. Tchouaméni joins Real Madrid. 6-year contracts. Let's have a look. I think it was 100 million euro deal. Let's have a look. Yeah. 80 million euros plus 20 in bonuses. So Tchouaméni joined Real Madrid this summer for 100 million euros. 150 though. I mean, they tried it with Sancho before, didn't they? 130 million euros. They didn't get it. He stayed for a summer. He then joined Manchester United the following summer for around about 80 million euros, didn't he? I imagine that's going to be the same sort of thing here with Bellingham. Carl, you're down here saying, look, Sam, 150 is 10 years. I mean, yeah, I can do my maths. You'd be very surprised to find any club that would accept installments based over a 10-year period, though. I know that 150 million doesn't necessarily mean 150 million coming out of your bank account that specific day. You spread it. Is it called player amortization, I think? Where you split the value of the player over a fixed period of time. I can't imagine it'll be 10 years. DJG with the best comment of the day, saying your glazed out videos are the best I've seen. Thank you very much, dude. Yeah, I think all of you know on here now, they're the ones I put most time and effort into myself. I edit them all myself, get the footage myself. Even had a cameraman who went to the latest one. Yeah, I really feel that those Glazers Out videos are the most important videos I do here on United People's TV, because I think that they're the sorts of videos that can be sort of shared around and sort of, use to build up energy against the Glazers, and that's why I do them. Josh, you're saying 65 for Nkunku. Yeah, man, exactly. We all know that. He's not particularly a striker per se. He can certainly play as a centre forward, but he can play as a number 10. He can play on the right. He's got some serious versatility to his game. And because Sesko is coming into Leipzig, and because Nkunku signed a contract extension to stay for one more year with that release clause, we know full well that Nkunku's going for 65 million euros next summer. Kind of probably going to go to Bayern Munich when you think about it. But if he doesn't go to Bayern Munich, United, well, I think United should be in from anyway. Didn't you say that we wouldn't sign? Look, oh, come on, man. I don't think anybody thought that. Everybody knew that. We were looking at that. We knew the budgets that we had, and we were going after Arnautovic and Rabiot. Then United looked down the back of the sofa and found 150 million euros. You're like, well, that's handy. We'll go and sign Casemiro and Antony now. I was like, well, why weren't you just doing that early this summer? But look, Stu's a good comment there saying, look, what about Ivan Toney? Ivan Toney was linked to Manchester United quite, I wouldn't say heavily in the summer, linked enough. And his stock is only rising. I think he deserves the opportunity to get a chance during this international break with the England team ahead of the World Cup. And look, if he can continue his form with Brentford, then Ivan Toney, I mean, you're probably looking at, how much do you think Ivan Toney's worth? Obviously got the English tax and the Premier League tax and the Man United tax. I imagine somewhere in the region of 30 to 50 million. I think so. And I would probably put Ivan Toney in the same category as, I remember when Louis van Gaal was manager and we were linked with Sadio Mane from Southampton. And so many of us, let's be completely honest, because I certainly did. I sort of like, I didn't turn my nose up at it, but I was like, oh, we United, we shouldn't be signing players from Southampton. I had this sort of like complex, I suppose, that was still my high horse that I was still on post-Fergie, even though Moyes tried his best to ruin it. But Mane, of course, went to Liverpool, and we know what sort of player he went on to. Ivan Toney, I'm not saying that he's going to be the next Sadio Mane. That's far from what I'm saying. But there's a lot that, but he strikes me as a player who is above Brentford, and with the right coach and the right system and the right environment, could be on a level above where he's currently playing. Stephen, you think 60 million down there. Troy, you're going 45. Kieran, you're saying 50. 10? No chance. Carl, you're saying 40. Lawrence, 60. 40, 45. Yeah, kind of interesting. Interesting prices down there. Somewhere between 40 and 60. I imagine that's probably a fair valuation on him. Let's see if he goes to the World Cup. If he doesn't go to the World Cup, probably means his price tag's a little bit cheaper. Let's find out. But maybe Ivan Toney is one of those players that we should be putting in that video and saying, right, these are the players we should be looking at in the January transfer window. But look, I really enjoyed that discussion there. I think it was a good one. Dylan, you're saying, look, Toney is like Zaha, playing at a club below his level but needs a big transfer. Well, Zaha's been stuck there for a good long time now. I think Zaha's available on a free transfer next summer. I don't think he signed a new contract. Reuniting Toney and Eriksen, you're looking 30 goals a season. Jeez, someone's hyping that man up. Maybe not 30 goals a season, but Ivan Toney, growing on me. For sure he's growing on me. He's really quite an impressive player, I think. And quite the opposite of talking about impressive players, no offense, I want to speak about Brandon Williams' interview where he really, really staunchly defends Harry Maguire. Like, it's not just, there's a lot of passion in what he said. There's a lot of emotion in what he said. And clearly, there's a lot of belief in what he said about Harry Maguire. I'm going to run through these quotes here from Brandon, from this interview that came out yesterday. I don't personally think it warrants a separate video itself, but it certainly warrants us having a conversation here this morning on the community. On the community? In the community. This is what Brandon said. He said, people don't listen to the outside world. Harry Maguire will go into training 100% every day. Harry will give whether he's starting the game, whether he's not starting the game. 100%. If you're doing well in training, who's some little idiot sat on Twitter that's going to tell you that he shouldn't be starting a game? Who is he? I genuinely don't get it. He said he's already had a great career. He's on stepping stones, and he'll get to the top where he wants to be. He's already at the top. He's captain of Manchester United. And I dream to be that one day, and he's already done it. Now, I'll be really interested to know what your opinions are on this. So please fire them in the comments and we'll discuss it. I'm not surprised that Brandon's loyal to Harry Maguire. I think when he broke through under Solskjaer, Harry Maguire was the captain, and I imagine he helped him quite a lot. But he really is going in hard here, isn't he? He's calling out. This is the thing. There is definitely some justification to what he's saying there, because there are so many just anonymous accounts on Twitter that would just have a footballer's face as their football Twitter, man. Jeez. Imagine getting on the wrong side of football Twitter. It would take you down. It would take you down. But criticism of Harry Maguire has been absolutely fair. And that's the difference. People like that who just hide behind an anonymous account and just hurl like abuse to the point where it's personal. They take away credibility of anybody who, like, look, man, I went in on Harry Maguire last year. I went in on him. First of all, I said we need to talk about Harry Maguire. Then I said, look, we need to drop Harry Maguire. Then I said he needs to have the captaincy taken away from him. I went as hard as any, but I felt that the way I presented it, it was justified criticism rather than just like slagging for the sake of it. I sort of tried to explain myself in a bit more details. Charlie, the question is, or the answer to that is always yes. Every single time you ask it, the answer is always yes. I do a video every single afternoon. Josh, he has a point, Sam. He's saying, I think people disregard being the pressure the pressure of being captain of Manchester United. Maguire was definitely thrown in at the deepest end possible. Don't think Solskjaer did him any favours whatsoever by giving him that armband. He incorrectly expected that armband to be something that sort of made Maguire go, yeah, go on then. I'm captain of United. I can be even better. Instead, he went, and he just wilted. He absolutely wilted. Ruben, right? I'm going to read a few of your comments out down here, see what you're saying. I feel Williams is trying to be a good friend and attempting to uplift a struggling teammate. I don't doubt that whatsoever. I'm not having a go at him for this in any way, shape, or form. So I wouldn't go as far as that. He's coming from a completely different angle to what we are coming from, right? We're coming at it from the fans' perspective. All we get to see, all fans are privy to see, is what happens in that 90-minute period on the pitch, right? And if you don't deliver in that, as far as we're concerned, correctly, it doesn't fucking matter what you're doing in training, man. You could be doing cartwheels, headstands. You could be scoring 40-yard bangers. You could be doing 9.3-second 100-meter sprints. Doesn't matter. I mean, that would probably matter if you actually recorded that. It doesn't matter what happens in training if you can't deliver and turn that training into performances, which is what Harry Maguire hasn't done, and hasn't done for a long, long time now. So I completely understand Brandon Williams defending him, but this idea here that he's sort of like, he's having a go at people on Twitter saying that he shouldn't start a game, and then goes on to say that he's already had a great career. He's at the top. And he's captain of United. Bro, he's not at the top, man. Harry Maguire, his peak has been with England and with Leicester. And I think he's been okay at United. But as Ian said in a comment there earlier, I don't doubt that he gives 100%. But his 100% is about 60% of what a Premier League defender needs to be for Manchester United. And look, Martinez and Varane have shown that now. So we can't say here that Maguire's at the top, man. Maguire's sitting on the bench, which is where he deserves to be sat. And the fact that we've improved so significantly since he has been put on the bench, it makes the timing of the interview a little bit strange, I suppose. Look, it's not as if Brandon Williams was chasing out this interview. I think it was at some sort of event, and somebody asked him about Harry Maguire, and he just off the top of his dome, he said that. So that's what I mean. It's something that he clearly feels passionate about. But it's a bit strange, isn't it? Carl, you're saying, look, I guess as a United player, Brandon sees the effort from Harry. I understand that defending that effort, but he needs to show up on the pitch. Look, I don't deny. I don't deny because I don't know how good or bad Harry Maguire is in the training ground. But he did survive for so long under Rangnick and Solskjaer that you would have to presume that he trains pretty well. But as fans, we can use our own eyes to see that training does not translate into performances on the pitch. And when you add the pressure of playing for United, when you add the TV cameras, when you add the armband, when you add all these different factors that don't exist in training, Harry Maguire wilts a little bit. Chimai saying, look, I don't agree with Williams at all. While I understand the personal attacks are not fair, but fans having an opinion is not a problem. It's part of being a millionaire footballer playing for United. Look, it is completely, everybody is entitled to their opinion. Everybody is entitled to comment on that. But I do understand this idea here that he's sort of going after football Twitter. Because football Twitter can be wow, like we use the word toxic quite a lot. But football Twitter can just be an absolute cesspit. It really can be a cesspit. Honestly, if you don't have thick skin, you couldn't do what I do. The amount, even me, like for I just ignore it all now. It doesn't matter. It's just hot air to me. I've just got the ability to sort of compartmentalize it and move on. And I would never be able to understand the pressures of being a sort of a top level footballer, because they must have to sort of like compartmentalize so much. But Reece, look, you talk about, I'll be honest, this is personally one of my biggest issues with Harry Maguire. And it's that lack of self-awareness. It's the lack of the ability to sort of take a step back from your own game and go, shit, that was a bad performance. That was horrendous, right? Not letting that happen again. That was embarrassing. Don't want to embarrass myself again. And no, instead, he came out before the Liverpool game. It was that one that sort of really sort of slapped me in the face. Slapped me in the face. And he was like, well, I've been picked by 2 managers. I must be doing something right. And I was like, oh no, Harry, you really just do not get it, do you? You really don't get it. But he gets it now. Erik ten Hag has absolutely made sure that he gets it. Albert watching from Romania. Happy to be a member. Thanks to the community. Lovely to have you on board here, my friend. Ricky, I appreciate that, man. You're saying, look, have a level head. Look, I try to be, because in the world of modern football, because of how accessible everything is, it's fucking easy to just jump on stuff and just get the gun out and just try and knee-jerk react to everything. I react to certain things, and sometimes I go a little bit overboard, and I've been swept up on a few occasions. I did one with that video on Ronaldo early this summer, where I tried to, now that I look back on it, it was me sort of putting a line in the sand saying, if you support Ronaldo still, you can go in Ronaldo FC. I don't particularly think you're a United fan, whereas everyone else on the other side. And I did that. I got a lot of feedback from people. I was like, well, you're probably right. I did go a little bit too hard, although I still do feel quite strongly about what I felt. Not completely, though. I think he helped me understand both sides of it. But Erik ten Hag and the way that he has managed Harry Maguire just goes to show, look, Harry Maguire's not at the top. Simply playing for Manchester United is not the top. And I think the attitude of this lad is the definition of that. He literally thought, he's like, where am I going? I'm joining Lyon. Oh, nice. Yeah, Lyon. I like France. That'll be cool. Huh? Man United want me. Cool. Let's go. And he was buzzing about it. And this is what he said here about sort of Manchester United, this team. He said, look, I think the foundation for us as a team has now been laid. From the start, I was able to find my way very quickly. The feeling was just good, and I was well received. That was the most important thing for me. And just, to reiterate the point of the segue I was trying to do there, This idea that Maguire's just at the top now simply because he's captain of Manchester United. No, it's not the case. When you come to Manchester United, it's the first step on a different ladder. And if you're not mentally prepared for that and prepared for the climb there, then you're just going to be like one of those United players from the last 4, 5, 6 years that have just come to United, sit down, recliner up, crack a can, I've made it. Right? You've not made it until you've got that Premier League trophy in your hand. You've not made it until you've got that Champions League trophy in your hand. That's when you can say you've made it. And that's where United need to get towards. So the idea that Harry Maguire's made it simply because he's captain of Manchester United, no, he should never have been captain of Manchester United. And that was really one of Solskjaer's biggest mistakes. Every manager's culpable of making mistakes, but that was a massive error on Solskjaer's part. It was just it was a calculated decision. He thought that it would help Maguire. It didn't, man. Samwise, you're spot on down there saying that has been the mentality of many players. It has. It's been a mentality which has infected Manchester United. People look at it, it's like the end game isn't joining Manchester United and then winning everything. The end game is just joining Manchester United, because then you're in. You got the bumper contract. Sweet. You've got to the top table. All the hot food everywhere. Nice. That's what players have been thinking for a long time. IQ, I mean, I'll be honest, I couldn't disagree any more there. You don't like the Bruno interviews. Wow. Jeez. The Bruno interview with Adam Crafton from The Athletic, for me, was a fantastic bit of insight into Bruno. And Bruno is a man who came to the club when we were on the floor, bloodied and bruised. And he's dragged us up a little bit. He dragged us up quite a lot, actually, certainly those first few months. And I think he's improving this year. He's doing what I hoped he would be doing. He's starting to use that emotion and that temperament as an asset. He's starting to play a little bit smarter. That's what he's got to do, because you can't just run around like a headless chicken, like an excited puppy 24/7. It doesn't work. And I think he's starting to find that. I think he's starting to show that. Hip Hop Juice, how you doing, buddy? I like the name. Morning, Sam. We need to get Bellingham to redeem some respect from Frenkie de Jong. Would put us back in the ball game at the top. While I do think that Bellingham would be that sort of player, I just do not think that Manchester United are going to be spending 150 million on any individual anytime soon. And there aren't many clubs in the world that are going to be spending 150 million on any player anytime soon. I mean, Mbappe, I think, went for more than that. Neymar, I think, went for more than that. I don't think there's anybody else, is there? Maybe there are. Maybe I've just forgotten a couple. And how you doing, buddy? You're saying this. You're saying Manaccia and Martinez have shown that fire to be the absolute best they can be. You can tell literally nothing else matters to them. And yeah, it is. And this, again, this is an infectious thing. In the same way that Manchester United had a dressing room previously where you walked in and everybody was sat down in their recliners, arms in the air, Manaccia and Martinez have set a new example where you're going in, it's like, shit, man, I've got to work hard, because look at these two. They are levels above me. I've got to hold on to their coattails until I can get up to that level. McTominay's up there too. And there's a different sort of, there's something different up there which is driving United, and we all know who that is. I really don't need to tell you who that is. And it's not Harry Maguire. It's Erik ten Hag. It's the start of something new. It really is the start of something new, and I'm loving it. Honestly, I've maintained it the whole way through, right from when Ten Hag came in, and someone clipped me up and tagged me in it on Twitter after we lost to Brentford 4-0. I said, look, the one thing about United this year that you can guarantee is that we won't be a joke anymore. And that's because of Erik ten Hag. Well, those first two performances were pretty embarrassing, but we've seen since, the response since, superb. Second 11, didn't do it against Sociedad. That was sort of a nod back to last season. Cool. Can't trust you. Cool. I'll stick with what I know going forward. And we've played basically the full team against Sheriff away from home. We've got a 2-0 win. Bingo banger. Ernest, he's one of the names on the list that we're going to be covering in a video. James, he's saying, look, I think Maguire demanded a captaincy. Dude, Maguire didn't demand the captaincy, man. Nobody can come into Manchester United and demand the captaincy. No, it wouldn't work like that. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer felt, boom, this is the new like pillar that I'm going to be building this United team on. Maguire, you're going to be the captain. It did not work out. Yeah, look, Delo as well. Excellent. Mate, it's just, it's something new. It's something new and something different. And it seems to be taking these players upwards. Now, there was a comment I want to run through yesterday that sort of I liked. And this is from Ronald Araujo, who, of course, plays for Barcelona at centre-back. And this is what he said about Facundo Pellistri. He said, I think Facundo Pellistri is surprising. Obviously, we know the quality that Valverde, Bentancur, Nunez, we all know the quality they have. But Pellistri, he surprised me quite a bit. And this is what else he said. He said, especially since he hadn't been playing, and more because of the level that he gave in the national team, that he was spectacular. Besides, we understood each other well, very well, on the right wing. Now, Pellistri is a player who, I remember the last pre-season, it was Pellistri, who else was it? Pellistri and Elanga, I think it was, that really impressed in Solskjaer's last pre-season. And Pellistri is another one of those players. You've got Pellistri, you've got Amad Diallo. I don't know who else we've signed in that sort of sphere. But just one of those youngsters that came with promise that hasn't been able to fulfill it. Injuries haven't helped him. He went out and had a decent loan spell. But that's some seriously high praise there from Araujo, from Barcelona, saying, look, he was, quote unquote, use the word spectacular. Now, of course, we've got Anthony on the right wing. So he's going to hold that down. But if Pellistri is there, and Pellistri can offer the same sort of enthusiasm and quality that we've seen from Diogo Dalot, that we've seen from McTominay, then he could come in and do a good... I like those comments from him there. Let me see what else you're saying down here in the comments. If Chelsea could come back in, I think there's a strong possibility that Harry Maguire is sold this summer. I know so many of you wanted that to happen the summer just gone, but that's part of phase 2. I don't think you could come in and... I mean, you could have just booted the captain out, but let's be honest, nobody would have paid the money that we need for him. So we're hoping that Maguire has a decent World Cup with England. If he starts, we're hoping that he can have a decent enough season for United, and hopefully we can sell him for probably in the region of 30 million. I think we can get that. I think we will sell him. But look, to finish off the show here, let's have a quick vote in the comments. Manchester United released the vote for the Player of the Month award for September. It's Christian Eriksen, it's Jadon Sancho, and it's Rafael Varane. You type your name in the comments for who would get your vote. Fike, there you're saying, can we talk about Van der Beek? I don't really know why I'm talking about Van der Beek, man. I've spoken about Van der Beek quite a lot. And I'm not going to give him any sort of extra airtime conversation anymore. I think Van der Beek is just one of those players who, at this moment in time, is getting nowhere near that starting 11 because of how everybody else is playing. I want Van der Beek to be successful, but I won't. I know. I can't be bothered anymore. I'll be honest. I can't be bothered anymore. Go down here in the comments. Well, guys and girls, don't sit on the fence or anything. But you may... I wonder who you're all choosing as your player of the month. Look at that. Man, what an absolute don he has been since he arrived. Varane. Oh, you're going for Varane. There is someone down here, but look, I completely agree with the overwhelming majority of it. What happens if I click Eriksen there? There you go. Community vote is in. Look at that. It's definitely Christian Eriksen, man. Christian Eriksen has been absolutely that. The levels that he's done and the amount of football that he's played. Every time he starts, I'm like, bro, give him a little bit of a rest. Surely. I'm like, boom. He plays like 80 minutes. He looks superb. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And good question there. So why is Martinez not on that list? It's a good point. Martinez has been superb. But just... it just puts a smile on my face to see that Man United's signings are starting to pay off. We've had so many misses, man. So many misses. But look, Eriksen's been phenomenal. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is, at this moment in time, is probably the greatest free transfer that we've ever had. But the way that Christian Eriksen has started this season, if he can continue this across the course of a season, maybe across the course of a couple of seasons, he's going to be by far and away the best free signing we've ever made. And I'll tell you what, had we not been able to snag him on a free, it would have been a very, very different season. Really, really would have been, because nobody would have been able to operate like he operates. And Bruno would have been a lot more because of Eriksen. Bruno doesn't feel responsible for dropping deep 24/7 to try and start the attacks, because he goes, all right, cool. I know Eriksen can do it. I'll probably stay a little bit further up the pitch, and it's helping Bruno be a better player. Signing's paying off, and look, we got Eriksen for free. It's a nice combination. And Charlie, yeah, you look, great player, great professional. Yeah, man. He's absolutely in the wine matter category there. But look, thank you all for joining in today. It was a really good conversation there about Jude Bellingham. I feel like we're going to be talking about him plenty more over the next few months. I'm not sure what my video is going to be today. I've got some ideas, but it'll be out at lunchtime. I apologize, it was a little bit late yesterday, but it will be going out at normal time today between around about 12 and 1 p.m. UK time. Make sure you check it out and make sure you sign up to the poker tournament, because that's tomorrow night. I can't wait for that. Honestly, it's over 500 of you have joined in so far. It's going to be a big old poker tournament, and just for the United People's TV community. But thank you all for joining in. Stu Bacco, thank you very much for gifting 10 memberships to help the community get even bigger and better. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here the whole way through the international break. So make sure you subscribe. Take it easy.